Hello everyone, my name is Wang Xinghong. I'm a Kung Fu Grandmaster. I'm also a science researcher and an artist. I was from China and now I am in the USA. I make this video to review a fact that Chinese dictator Xi Jinping, he killed my parents. Both my parents are ordinary people. They have done nothing wrong. It's only because the dictator is extremely evil, so he killed my parents. The detail of his killing of my parents is as follows. It's related with my training process of Kung Fu. I have trained traditional Tai Chi, Chinese martial arts for many years. Since about 10 years before, kind of achieved a very high level. And as many insiders know that if somebody practice Chinese traditional martial arts and train for many years, it will result in a situation when you will receive the universe energy. This energy not only help you to improve your martial arts levels and being able to achieve some amazing martial arts ability, it also helps you to acquire the wisdom and it helps you to become super excellent in many other aspects. For example, at that time, I feel I suddenly achieved very high level in my Kung Fu and I found that my speed was super fast. Then I checked this information from internet and found that it's surprising that my speed is faster than any other people in the world in some aspects. And I actually created several world records in the martial arts speed. Also, some martial art insiders may know that there is very high level martial arts skill that is called 1-inch punch. There are some very excellent martial art grandmasters in the world who are able to throw 1-inch punch. It is the kind of punch that you use your fist to discharge a very huge force within a very short distance. It's like usually you need distance to punch, but for 1-inch punch, you do not need any distance. It's just, and then the force can be discharged. So it's kind of miraculous and it's very effective. And at that time, I was also able to do this, so it's kind of nice. But at one time, I found that I was not only able to throw this 1-inch punch with my fist, but also with my soft palm. Upon finding this, I thought it's something that many people are able to do, but when I searched the relevant information from the internet, I couldn't find anybody else who is being able to do this. Also, I asked my disciple, my international disciple, to search it. Also, he couldn't find anybody else who is able to do this. So, according to current information, I am the first person in the world who is able to throw this 1-inch punch with soft palms. And also, when I achieve this high level of martial arts, I become at a very high level with my balance. For example, there's a way of competition in martial arts which is called Tai Chi fist stance hand pushing. So two persons stand still and trying to push the other one and to see who is able to stay still without moving the stand. So in this competition, since about 10 years before, I never lost one competition. So it's kind of, no matter what, I can always keep my balance. So this is also one of the indication of my miraculous development of my martial arts. I also invented the breathing method of using somebody's back to breathe. including Mingmen breathing methods and Dantianbai breathing method, which are very effective in helping people to improve their martial arts training level and also very helpful in improving people's health. Besides the improvement in martial arts levels, the so-called universal energy I obtained through the training of martial arts also enabled me to do some mechanical inventions. For example, I used the philosophy of Tai Chi and invented a food processing machine which used a rotary mechanism to process food, and I obtained multiple patent certificates for it. Because of the universal energy I obtained, I was also suddenly able to do some scientific research. For example, about the subject of the universe's expansion. As we all know, the universe is always expanding, and there are different proposals of reasons for the expansion. And at that time, I was able to do the calculation and made a finding that the radiations inside the universe was also at least one of the reasons that the universe is ever expanding. My major is not physics, so I didn't have all the background knowledge about physics, but I was still able to find a flaw in general relativity by examining the process of how gravitational waves enter into a black hole. Also, universe energy I received through practicing martial arts also enabled me to do some artistic work. For example, I was able to invent a new way of painting. It's called martial arts painting or action painting. This kind of painting does not focus on the painting itself, but focus on the actions of painting, because somebody's action and body movement can have some artistic value. At the same time, somebody's painting can also have some artistic value. So if we combine these two together, use a video camera to record the actions of painting, if the action itself is beautiful and is full of artistic essence, and then the actions when painting the painting can itself be artistic work. This artistic work combined with the painting itself result in the so-called action painting. Another thing that is worth mentioning is that several years before, when no one knows about what artificial intelligence is able to do now, I was sure that artificial intelligence would be able to do anything human beings are able to do, and artificial intelligence will do everything much better than human beings. So I was actually the first person who is able to make such a conclusion in the world. So anyway, I was able to obtain this universal energy, and I suddenly become very excellent in almost all aspects of life, and I kind of draw attention from the society in China. This is not a bad thing, right? And at that time, it was the time when Xi Jinping became the top leader in China. And then, because I'm single, at that time somebody introduced a girl to me for the matchmaking, which is a reasonable thing. After I get to know that girl, I found that people around me changed their way to approach me. So it feels like this girl was from a very important background. When I connected all the dots together, it's like this girl is a relative of Xi Jinping. At that time, Xi Jinping just became the top leader in China, and he was in a nice disguise, and nobody was able to see that he aimed to be a dictator. And Xi Jinping did have this natural, soft and humble mask, which will deceive people to believing that he's not a bad person. So I didn't refuse to meet that girl. and I did spend some time getting to know her. Now, I do not want to comment about the relatives of Xi Jinping. Anyway, the matchmaking was unsuccessful, so there was no trouble for either party. However, things became to change in a bad way. I often found somebody came to harass me and my family. I, of course, do not have any proof, but it is obvious that this harassment came from Xi Jinping, because if he disagrees, nobody dared to do anything bad to me. Because there were harassments and I have to protect myself, so I changed my location in China for several times, but it was not so effective. So I decided to immigrate to other countries to get away from this unreasonable trouble. During the process, because the harassment to me was really very bad, it was actually extremely bad. So I had to find different ways to stop this harassment. One of the ways that I used to stop this harassment was to use bad language against Xi Jinping. Considering the very bad and extreme harassment I encountered, the bad language I used against Xi Jinping was actually very civilized compared with the bad things I encountered. During the process, there happened a very bad thing about my parents. That is, Xi Jinping sent some very bad people, did some very bad trick to influence my father when my father was riding a bicycle, and my father fell and broke his leg. And then my father had a surgery, and after that, my father always suddenly falls. I think it's because of the breaking of the leg, also possible from surgery that my father went through because of breaking the leg. We can hear from the internet that there are some very bad things happening in China. When some people do some surgery, the bad people can do something very bad during the surgery and cause people's health to become bad because of the surgery. This is also one of the example of dictator Xi Jinping's evil ruling in China. Anyway, I applied immigration to Hong Kong and to the USA, and my immigration to Hong Kong was approved first. Then I moved to Hong Kong to live. Then the bad news came from China. My father died. He fell again, and that falling was fatal. Later I learned that the reason for my father's regular falling was because he actually had multiple strokes. But when he visited hospitals in China, the hospital didn't give him correct diagnosis and medical treatment under the evil influence of the dictator Xi Jinping. That's why my father died very early because of Xi Jinping. After my father died, because I'm a very humble person, and I always tend to think what I have been doing wrong if there is anything bad happening in my life. So I will try to correct myself. I'm not the kind of person who is always easy to criticize other people or blame other people for all the bad results. So after my father's death, I thought maybe it was partly because of my using some bad language against Xi Jinping. So if it is somehow related with my mistakes, I can change, I can correct myself. Because I also have my mother, I need to try my best to protect my mother. Ever since my father died, I changed and I didn't use any bad language against Xi Jinping. And I hoped and I thought my mother will be okay. She's very healthy. She will live long and healthy. And I think because my father has already died, so protecting my mother is the only right thing to do. However, you never know how evil a dictator can be, because after my father's death, only after 1 or 2 years, my mother suddenly became sick and was diagnosed of cancer. And although we tried to save her life, he died very quickly in the beginning of this year. She has always been very healthy. She never had any disease before she was 70 years old. So reasonably, she will be easily live up to 90 years old or even 100 years old. And during the process of her getting sick and trying to receive medical treatment from the hospital, of course, we can clearly see there are many bad influences from the dictator Xi Jinping upon the hospitals. Of course, there are many details, and of course, we cannot prove that Xi Jinping had made a phone call to the leaders of the hospital to instruct them to kill my mother. Of course, that we do not have any proof. But considering the dictatorship rulings in Chinese political system, everybody can easily know that if this kind of bad things happens, it's not by accident. So both of my parents have been killed by the dictator Xi Jinping. Some people might think that the reason why Xi Jinping killed my parents was because I used some bad language against him, right? Firstly, if some citizen use some bad language against the leader of some country, and this leader will just kill the parents of this citizen who used the bad language against him, then this dictator, this leader, is extremely evil, right? Even if Xi Jinping killed my parents because of my bad language, this is still anti-civilization and anti-human beings. It's not bearable by any civilized countries. But actually, I think it should not be related with my bad language, because at the time when he sent somebody to break my father's leg, I have never used any bad language against him. Also, after my father's death, I never used any bad language against him, but he still killed my mother. So, even if his inhuman killings are related with my bad language, it's not important. He only did this because he is the evil dictator and he hopes to maintain his unreasonable authority in China. This also indicates his disrespect for any human lives and his disrespect for any civilization. We are sure about this because I think everybody in the world knows that he also killed Chinese Prime Minister Li Keqiang. So he doesn't need to have any legitimate reason to do something bad, because he is just extremely evil by his nature. I now reveal this real information to the world so everybody can know how bad Xi Jinping is and how bad his ruling is in China and how bad Chinese people are suffering. And these sufferings will twist Chinese people's mentality and change the Chinese people in a very bad way. You know, usually Chinese people are famous for their being peaceful. But recently, when you look at many information from the internet or cell phone, you can easily find that many Chinese people are hoping to make wars in the world. This is not the true side of the Chinese people. Some of the Chinese people, they become very aggressive and they hope to make war. It's only because they suffer from the pressure from the dictator and their life are very bad. So they become violent and they hope to do something destructive to other people. So this evil dictator Xi Jinping, he's so stupid by nature and he's so greedy to seek power, so it's inevitable for him to make China from a very peaceful country into a dangerous country and bring damage and destructions to the entire world. So now I make the information that Xi Jinping killed my parents public. This is for me a huge thing, but it's possibly a small thing for the world. However, this is only one of the countless bad things Xi Jinping has done. His greed and stupidity will surely bad things to the world. So it is relevant to me and it is relevant to everyone. Because if China is a very small country, and then the evil ruling in a small country will bring small or no influence on other countries. But China is a huge country. It has so many population and it has strength in almost all aspects of the society. Just imagine a dictatorship. North Korea is only a danger to South Korea. If China become the same dictatorship country as North Korea, then it's a threat. It's a real dangerous threat to the entire world. It's understandable, right? My parents being killed by this stupid evil dictator Xi Jinping is a bad thing, and I hope we will make united efforts to stop him, to get rid of him, to delete him from the political system, so that no such bad things will ever happen to anyone in China and in the world. With our joint efforts, we are able to do this. May God bless America. May God bless China. May God bless all human beings.